What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Cervantes Podcast. Joining me today to discuss his experience reporting for the NBA on TNT, interning at ABC News, the key to a great interview, and how he manages his work-life balance is WABC-TV Sports Department intern, sports director, and news reporter at 88.7 FM WRHU, Yaw Bonsu. How are you doing today, man?
Hell of an intro. I'm doing all right. Thank you for having me. I feel like I have more to talk about now than the first time you spoke to me. I remember, I think it was 2 weeks ago, I was just looking through my old resumes, including those around the time I spoke to you first. And I'm like, damn, I really did not do much back then. But looking at it now, I mean, I still don't think I do enough, but just to think about how much changes in a year, to think about where I was in August of 2022. I literally only had, let's say, like NBC was my biggest thing. And now sitting with you a year later, I can
So
say
much
that
has happened.
exactly. I can say that I've been at ABC and Fox and NBC and national broadcasts and been on national TV reporting. So yeah, I mean, I'm doing all right. And, it's just, it's nice to reflect.
No, yeah, and it's gonna be cool to see like when I go back and like edit to see like okay, like this is Yao June 2022, this is Yao now. What has changed and the audience too, like what they can take away. Let's get into that. What do you think has been the biggest improvement on your part career wise from last year to now?
I think a lot more people have had trust in me. And I don't think there's been a lack of people having trust in me before, but more opportunities opened up. So the NBA on TNT thing, the Oscar Pope Lift Every Voice Fellowship is what I did last October. I applied, I got it. They flew me. It's only one student for each time they do it. They flew me out to San Francisco, Warriors, Lakers. That was opening night in the NBA. So I got to do an interview for Inside the NBA, got to shadow the show. I sat down and watched the game with Ernie and Chuck and Kenny, a bunch of Turner sports execs, some cool people from the company as well. And that was all from Victoria McBride. She does social media for them. She absolutely changed my life. So I think that's just one example. A lot has happened, getting Fox internships, ABC internships, going back to TNT again in February of 2023. A
Oh, I
lot of
didn't know that.
yeah,
Okay.
a lot has happened, but ultimately it just comes down to people having more trust in me, more faith in me, and at this point I'm a product of people pouring in time, energy, and sometimes literal money into me to making sure I get to where I need to be as a journalist. I'm not there yet by any stretch of the imagination, but as far as what the biggest change has been as far as my career, I don't like saying career because I'm still a student, but as far as the biggest change for me as a student, it's been that just the opportunity and the amount of people that are trusting me with these opportunities.
That's awesome. And I just had a podcast where we spoke about like the importance of networking
Oh
and
yeah,
getting to know people in the industry.
yeah,
Because I
that's
remember, I
important.
remember being in school and teachers would say, "Look around. This is who you're gonna work with." And I was like, "No, it's not. Like the industry is like it's big." And then I go to, I do a contract job at MSNBC. I'm now working part time at ABC News, and I'm seeing the same classmates that I've had, like Gabby Marinelli, this person, that person. So it's like, wow, like my classmates really are my future coworkers. So
Yeah.
it's really good to foster those relationships. Also, too, you've won a lot of scholarships. Has that helped too with your reporting?
Yeah, I mean it's helped because those are more relationships. Like the money is fine. Like it's great scholarship money that's going to go towards my education, of course. But
Tuition,
ultimately,
right?
yeah, tuition and everything. But the scholarships help because they open new doors to new people. So, for example, I recently won Radio Television RTDNA Radio Television Digital News Association. I won their president's scholarship. I think it's $2,000 it was worth. I get a flight to their convention in Minnesota at the end of September. And it's a convention that's not like any BJ where you see students and professionals. It's usually only news directors that go. So, as you could
Wow.
imagine, here I am as a student getting a free flight and a hotel to a convention in front of news directors who are hiring managers right when I'm a senior. So, imagine me talking to somebody and they mention, oh, in January, we might have a sports opening. That then is a pathway for me to get that FaceTime because I've reached out to a lot of news directors this summer, but sometimes they don't respond. In fact,
Right.
most of them don't respond. And I get it. They're busy and everything. They have no business talking to a student. But to get that face to face time in Minnesota in September, I may be talking to people that otherwise, if I emailed them on a random Tuesday, they wouldn't have even answered or
Right.
even thought about answering, or might have sent it to the trash or something, right? So these scholarships are great because those are more relationships. And you talk about the people next to you being people that you work with one day. That's something I need to work on, is getting more people my age who are in the industry and like befriending them in a way. Because again, we might work with them. They might be at a competitor station one day. We may be in the same market, just kicking it or whatever. So yeah,
Right.
it's all great. Those are things that the scholarships open up. It's helped me build more relationships, not only with the people who are within these organizations, but the students as well who may also win the scholarships.
Right. And for the journalism majors out there, and for people like me who have a podcast, what is the key to a great interview, whether you're on radio or on camera?
I haven't even mastered the interview myself. I mean, you're better off asking that question to people who are 20 years in the industry. But for me, it's all about listening, and it's all about the follow up. I intern at WABC-TV, ABC7 New York, their sports department, and on Fridays and Saturdays, I work with the weekend anchor / weekday reporter. Her name is Sam Ryan, and she's done everything there is to do in this industry. She has done Monday Night Football sideline reporting. She has hosted for CBS. She has done stories for CBS. She's done college football. She's done NFL and everything like that. And she recently introduced me to this method called the John Sawatsky method. When she was at ESPN doing Monday Night Football, they would bring in this guy named John Sawatsky who would walk through how to conduct a great interview. So certain things you want to keep in mind of. You never want to ask double barrel questions. Oh, Cervantes, can you talk to me about how it feels to be hosting a podcast? And can you touch on what this podcast means for you? Those are two questions in one. That's a terrible way to go about things. You should be asking one question, keep it direct. And you also don't want to bombard everybody with information all the time. Cervantes, you are X, Y, and Z age. You've done this podcast for a while. Your shirt is brown. Your hat is beige. How do you go about interviewing? Like, that's, nobody needs to know all that information before your question. So you want to keep it short and concise. So those are some of the things that make a good interview. And a lot of people like to come into the interview with a notepad in hand, but I've kind of learned that you want to not have the notepad. You want to make sure it's as intimate as possible. So you want to have that conversation without necessarily having notes down at your thighs or notes down that you're looking at. You want to make sure that it's an intimate conversation. So again, I'm not an expert, but those are some of the things that I've learned as to what makes a great interview.
No, that's helpful. That's definitely helpful. I think in the beginning, I used to like when I would do more like episodes centered around like a historical topic, I would have like my articles, my research, have
Yep.
everything ready.
Yep.
And I think maybe I should, maybe that is good to have, but I always try to keep it concise to not try to bore the listener, bore the
Yeah.
audience, because you don't want to do that.
Yeah, preparation is key as well. And you always want to be listening. That's the number one thing, listening. You could have a list of 5 questions in your head that you want to ask, but as soon as you ask question number one, if I say something to you that catches you off guard, 2 to 5 get thrown out, and we're touching on whatever stood out. So that's a big thing too. And probably the most important thing is listening.
Listening, yes. That's key. That's key. You recently wrapped up your part-time job at, or correct me if I'm wrong, but you recently wrapped up your part-time job at 77 WABC Radio as a weekend news anchor. What did you learn from this experience that you didn't learn in school?
Yeah, I was laid off. They went a new
Oh,
direction, so I was one of the weekend anchors that was laid off. That was around mid-July, but I'm grateful for the experience. Everything on my resume that does not include Hofstra has been a better experience than anything I could get in a classroom, with all due respect, because nothing matches actually being in a newsroom and actually operating when that red light turns on. So as far as 77 WABC radio, I was a weekend anchor in the number one talk station in the number one market. I mean,
you can't get
that
better than that.
that doesn't happen for somebody who, when he was hired, was only 20 years old. So I learned what it was like to work, at least on a minor scale, in the biggest market in the world as an on-air talent. Yes, I only did top of the hour news updates, but just the pressure of being in that environment, being in New York City, it was something I'm forever grateful for. And it gave me the experience that not a lot of people have. So I think for me, the number one question I've always tried to ask ever since I've decided I wanted to do journalism is, how do I separate myself from the rest of the pack? And anybody could get an internship, but not everybody could do weekend news anchoring at the number one talk station in the number one market in the number one universe, right? So that gave me that kind of separator from my peers and other people who in the future may be going for the same jobs that I want to go for right out of school. So it was great. I like being on air. Obviously, I'm primarily a TV guy, but between TV and radio, the experience is the same. I like to storytell, and I didn't do reporting there at all, but just being an anchor there, it meant the world because, again, it does not happen for people my age at that time while they're still college students. So, yeah, that was an amazing experience. And even though I was laid off, I'm still forever grateful for the opportunity I got there.
No, yeah, I'm sure you you're too talented and you work too hard to not get something great. So whether it's ABC, NBC, I'm
I
sure it'll be
appreciate that.
something.
I appreciate that.
Of course. You're now an intern at ABC Eyewitness News. What is
Yeah.
your favorite part of your job?
My favorite part of the job is the people. I learned, every time. So we have the main producer named Joe Rapolo. We
Okay.
have the second producer on weekends. His name is Alex Wilcox. We have a weekday anchor, the sports director, Ryan Field, and then we have the weekend anchor, weekday reporter, as I alluded to, Sam Ryan, and then we have the photographer, Roger Anderson. Every time any of them talk, it's a master class in journalism, and it's phenomenal. 99% of my job is logging games. Like I always post on Instagram what I do when I go on site, doing Mets, Yankees, whatever it may
Right.
be, interviewing people. But 99% of the job is me 8 TVs looking up. Aaron Judge hits a home run. Okay, what time did it happen in military time? So right now it would be 12, 12, 07. You include the seconds. You write Aaron Judge home run, and then the score: away team 0, Yankees 1. Okay, that's 99% of the job. It could be baseball, it could be hockey, it could be basketball, it could be football, whatever sport. But when I'm doing that, I'm always talking to Joe, I'm always talking to Ryan. Sam Ryan is a phenomenal mentor, one of the best I have in my life. She is, the amount of experience she's had and the amount she's willing to share with me is ridiculous. She is phenomenal. She is fantastic. So the
You need
people,
someone like that in your corner.
oh yeah, yeah, and she's phenomenal. So she is phenomenal, and the entire crew is phenomenal. So the people are my favorite part of the job for sure because I don't work many hours. I work when the games are. So
Okay.
it's not like I'm there for 8 hours a day. But when I get to go on site for these events, that's what makes the bread and butter because being on site for these events are not a part of the job. These are just added things that they allow me to do. So the fact that, again, it goes back to that word of trust. How much do these people trust you to give you these opportunities? When it gets to the point where Joe is asking me, hey, do you want to go on site with Sam or go on site with Ryan or go on site with Roger, I'm always going to say yes. And it's phenomenal that he thinks of me for these things because primarily my job is to be in that newsroom and logging games. But when I could do that 1% more, which is being on site, I always take advantage. And it's phenomenal. And it has honestly changed my life. It has changed my trajectory, and it has put me in a position to get me hopefully a better job than I would have gotten without this internship. So that in TNT, I'm forever grateful for because without those opportunities, I kid you not, Cervantes, I would be absolutely screwed. I'm telling you right
Wow.
now, without those opportunities, I would be screwed. And I mean, I'll try to figure it out, obviously, because that's what I do. I try to figure things out. I don't like to dwell, but I would be
Right.
screwed without those opportunities. It's just that simple.
That says a lot. That says a lot. And also too, if you had to choose between working in news, but in the sports department, being an anchor or a reporter, or just primarily being a news anchor, like let's say ABC, working
Well,
ABC versus working in ESPN, which one would you choose?
probably the network route.
Okay.
It's so like ESPN, a Turner Sports, because it's a bigger audience to serve, and
Okay.
it's not about money for me. Obviously, the network people get paid more, but to me, it's all about the exposure that my stories would get. So if I'm telling a story, and these are my favorite type of stories, like the story about a kid who overcame cancer and is now playing his childhood game, it would get a lot of views at the local level, but it would get even more eyes at the national level, which is why I would prefer the national route as opposed to locally. But even me, I'm not even thinking about an ESPN or Turner Sports right now. Right now, I'm just trying to get my foot in the door, which to me, the best route is local news. So
Okay.
I'm going to end up doing both. But If I'm at the peak of my career, picking a litter, get to do whatever I want, I'm gonna go the network route.
Right. And how important is social media in terms of like marketing and doing your job? Like, are you very like critical on yourself about the editing process and like posting, or not really?
Yeah, I mean, when I become a professional, and when I actually, if I'm fortunate enough to be hired out of college in a newsroom, social media will be more prominent for me because people need to know what's going on fast. People are not going to wait till 11 p.m. to get the score of the next game because they can get it right on their phones. And if they can see the highlights from a tweet that I post or repost rather than a tweet from another sports anchor at another or another sports anchor at another station, then that's better. So social media, depending on what stories you're doing, what your day-to-day responsibilities are, it's important to always tease what's coming up in the broadcast. That's where social media comes into play. And also, if you want to touch base with your viewers, I guess it's good to be humanized in a way. I'm not saying you got to post your wife all the time or your kids all the time, but it would be nice for people to it would be nice for you to be personable on your social media to let people know that although you're the one on TV, I mean, you're just like them. I mean, you have
Right.
a life just like them. So social media is strong, and it'll continue to be strong. It will continue to be strong because as news becomes more digital and everything, people are going to stream things on social media. People are going to put highlights on social media. People are going to want to engage on social media and react on social media. So social media is important. And as far as me right now, I'm not too big on social media as far as posting, but I know if I'm fortunate enough to get that first job out of college, then I'm taking a full 180 and I'm going to be on social media as much as I can in a logical manner in order to push the product that the station is trying to push ahead.
Right. Exactly. You want to capitalize on that opportunity for sure.
Yes. Anyways, let me tell you why WRHU is the best media organization on campus. We have professionals in residence that oversee our every move. If a student is being if a student is being treated unfairly,
One sec.
see, here we go, Siri. If a student is being treated unfairly, the adults are going to step in right away and make sure that that student gets the correct treatment. It has happened with me. It has happened with other people. They're going to make sure that people are getting the resources they need. If you come in, if you transfer and you want to do play-by-play, me as sports director, I'm going to make sure you get play-by-play reps right away. You want to do color, I'm going to make sure you get color assignments right away. You want to be clear to do sports updates, I'm going to make sure that happens right away. There is not, you can do anything you want at RHU and get the opportunity you deserve. If you want to report, you can report any story. You want to anchor Newsline, you can anchor Newsline. You want to produce, you can produce. We don't shy away from that opportunity. That's why WRHU is great, because even though it's student operated and it's not student ran, because they have people overseeing it. Now with the TV stuff, it doesn't matter what your experience is. It doesn't matter what your resume says. There are students who are running these shows, and the students pick who they want. So it's depending
Nepotism.
on if you're friends with X, Y, and Z, you're gonna get that opportunity. That's why I was trying to say that I think adults should have a say in who hosts what show and who gets what role, because the adults are more qualified than students to evaluate talent. But no, the students are gonna decide in tryouts who's good enough to be on the show. It doesn't make sense to me. Students are not qualified, whether it's me or the next guy or the next gal. No student is qualified to evaluate talent. We need the adults to come in and evaluate who's great enough. That's what we do in RHU. I make the assignments as sports director. I decide who's calling what soccer game, and I go over it with Pete Silverman. There's not a single assignment that Pete Silverman doesn't know about, because Pete Silverman has decades of experience producing at MSG, had the fourth best job in sports television or something like that, a top 10 job in sports television, and he understands what he's talking about. No on-air decision gets made without him knowing about it. So that's my spiel on that. Again,
I think that's a great argument. I did a freelance job at the Food Network a couple months ago, and I was talking to the production manager about like her experience, her advice for me, and she was saying my biggest advice is, two things, like make sure that you work your way up and you really know what a production, your job, but other jobs too. And she said, talk to people who have experience like me. Don't don't spend too much time talking to people like you who don't have experience, who don't know what they're talking about. And I was like, wow, like I'm always texting fellow classmates, people my age, but it's like, oh, maybe I need to reach out to older people who, like what you said, have the 15, 20, 30 years in the industry, who can give real life advice because they just been through more, as opposed to someone like me who has the same amount of experience. We're both lost, we're both confused. So I think that's a good argument. I don't think that's messy. I don't think that's outlandish. And I never
Yeah.
really thought about that until I'd say my senior year. Like, damn, like I haven't done much. So I hope I can still get something post grad, because there's not, it's like you really have to fight your way in for the Heat Network or be friends with the right people, which you don't really realize. But so it's good that you're saying, and hopefully freshmen at Hofstra see this, watch this, and take that into consideration.
Yeah, I'll preach it to the moon. I don't care if it's I don't think it's messy at all. It's reality. Like if somebody listens to my spiel just now and wants to dispute what I say, feel free and let me know. Please let me know where I tripped up, because I'll take accountability if I was wrong about anything. But please let me know where I tripped up and where I was wrong, because this is from my point of view, from somebody who's been shut out. And people see that I do a lot of stuff outside of school and think that's it. No, it's not. You need the on-campus opportunities, and that's something I don't think I've gotten, as dozens of students haven't gotten either. So we'll see. But yeah,
Right, because when you go on an interview, they're gonna ask for your professional experience, but they are also gonna ask, okay, what did you do during your 4 years in school? And if you don't have an answer for that, that's a problem.
yeah,
Or it depends on how maybe you can finesse it, maybe, not, it may not be a problem, but for some people it might be. So that's a good argument. I'm glad that you voiced that. Last October, you got to work alongside Turner Sports production team and contributed to the NBA opening night coverage and conducted an interview for Inside the NBA pregame show with Los Angeles Lakers player Juan Toscano Anderson. What was that experience like for you? And would you recommend people apply for the Oscar Pope Lift Every Voice Fellowship?
absolutely. Everybody should apply. Everybody should apply if you meet the qualifications. That experience was, I won't call it once in a lifetime, but actually, yeah, it is once in a lifetime, because being a student and being in that environment is definitely once in a lifetime. But Victoria McBride, who hired me, I don't want to say hired because it was only a 3-day thing, but who brought me in and selected me, she changed my life. She really
Wow.
changed my life in my trajectory of things. The interview sucked, by the way. The Inside the NBA interview with Juan Toscano Anderson, it sucked. I'm never going to use that on a reel. It was terrible.
Why do you
But
say that?
I tripped up on some questions. It's, it is what it is. I'm not going to force feed it onto a reel just because it has the NBA on TNT thing. It's fine. But that wasn't even the best part about the entire experience. It was all the people I got to meet and seeing a broadcast in which you have watched for years. Now you're seeing it up close. So pretend we're sitting here in the hotel, and up there, or well, this is going to be a podcast, so people may not be able to see, but
If you're watching this on YouTube.
yeah, if you're watching this YouTube, but we're sitting in the lobby of the hotel, and high above some platform, like up some stairs, is the restaurant. So Ernie Johnson comes from the restaurant. Before he gets down the stairs, he's looking over the platform and he says, "Yeah!" Screams through the hotel lobby. Ernie Johnson, EJ. So I'm like, "Hi, Mr. Johnson." I scream back. Or well, I don't scream, but I say, "Hi, Mr. Johnson." So he comes down the stairs. I go to shake his hand, because that's what you do. You shake people's hands when you meet them the first time, adults at least. And he says, gives me a big hug. Gives me a big hug. And he says, "Hi, how you doing, man?" And I have the picture and everything. I mean, it was phenomenal.
Wow.
It was phenomenal. And then, we sat down and talked about the industry. I went, he told me to rehearse my questions on him. I go to pull them out. And he's like, no, 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 no. Say it off the top of your head. So that's exactly what I did. Said it off the top of my head. And then we went and we did the interview. So that was phenomenal. We went and did the interview. And then after, we Victoria, myself, and someone else who's on the social media team, we're just walking around the arena. First of all, San Francisco is beautiful. Chase Center is beautiful.
I gotta visit, yeah.
We're walking around the arena. Oh, Steph Curry's right there. Hey, Steph Curry. We're walking around
Wow.
the arena. We go outside on a set, and this is a large production. They have 3 different sets for the show, and Ernie Johnson is there preparing, and Ernie's like, "Hey, yeah, come up here, come up here." So I'm here sitting at the table next to Ernie, and he's walking me through his prep. We take a photo, which I know is going to be used in marketing materials for that program, because that was the first. The Off-Pro Lift Every Voice Fellowship has been around for only a few years, but that's the first time anybody's gotten to do that with earning. So the fact I got that picture, and I'm shadowing him literally as he preps. I had the IFBs in my ear, and we're just talking and everything. So I get down, the guys are about to come up. Chuck comes in. Chuck shakes my hand, fist bump. I have the video. He's like, "Welcome to the family, man." I'm like, "Yeah."
Wow.
And then Kenny comes in, and then Shaq is here, and then all that. So after the show, we go up to the green room, and we're here watching the first game of the night, which was Sixers versus Celtics. And it's just, I walk in first before the guys come in. I walk in, Taylor Rooks, Jamal Crawford, Channing Frye. "Hi, my name's Taylor. Hi, my name's Jamal. Hi, my name's Channing." As if I didn't know who they were already, but I'm like, "Hi, my name's Yaw." We sit down, and the guys are still not here yet, the core four of inside the NBA. So I'm here just quiet, and then they're talking about basketball, and then they look to me, and they're like, you talk ball? I'm like, "Yeah." And then they were talking about Ja Morant and Paul George, and I just randomly say, "I think Paul George is better than Ja Morant." Channing Frye gets up, he's like, "What? You need to get out right now." That's what Channing Frye said to me. "You need to get out right now." And I'm like, "Look, you guys are the experts, but I think Paul George is better than Ja Morant." And then Taylor's like, "No. We want to hear your viewpoint too." So then we're chatting, and then that's when the guys come in, and it turns into this whole conversation in the room.
Like a show after the show.
Yeah. After the pregame show, this is all after the pregame show as the first game of the night is going on. And Channing just says to Chuck, "Hey, Chuck, who's better, Ja Morant or Paul George?" And then turns into this whole conversation, and I'm just there, just observing, like I'm just chilling, like this is lit. This is lit.
That's insane.
So later
That's
on,
insane.
Shaq is sitting next to me on like this stool. He hits me on the chest. He's like, hey man, lighten up. I run this. So I was like, all right. I was like, all right.
That is amazing.
So
So
halftime.
what was your biggest takeaway from that experience? Like just being like a sponge and just
the standard, what it takes to be there. Really, I mean, right. I really feel I felt like I was built for it. It gave me reassurance. And again, I was just a student walking around shadowing, but I really felt home in that environment.
Comfortable.
Comfortable. It was so surreal. Getting advice from people, meeting people, being a part of this large scale production. I'm just like, damn.
Like you watch these people for years.
Yeah. It's like I already thought that I could do this, but then I really thought I could do it after. I'm like, man, it just gives me so much motivation to get back there. Because when you're a student, and I've realized this, when you're a student, you get special, you get privilege. Like it's just as simple. When you're a journalism student, people are willing to talk to you. People are willing to give you advice. People are willing to let you shadow things and everything. I'm like, wow. But then as soon as you graduate, you're just like everybody else.
I mean, right. That's
if you're at a station, you can't. If you're at ESPN, you can't necessarily like hit up a Turner executive and be like, "Hey, let's have a conversation," because you're under contract. But me as a student, I get to email Turner execs and say, "Hey, I just want advice and everything." So as a student,
brave enough to ask a question.
Yeah, and it's just that experience, man. I miss it, and I'm trying to go back. And they brought me back in February again. And
okay.
That was that experience. I'm sure you're gonna ask about it, so I'll just explain it. But they had an HBCU broadcast, the Legacy Classic ran by Michael B. Jordan, and they needed a sideline reporter. They had a bunch of students running crew for certain positions, and they needed a sideline reporter role. So Victoria McBride, who brought me in for NBA on TNT the first time, the Oscar Pope, she brought me back and said, "Hey, do you want to be a sideline reporter? You're going to be a sideline reporter alongside Taylor Rooks." And I said, absolutely. So that was in New Jersey, first weekend of February.
Okay.
Prudential Center.
Wow.
Gordon was there. You get to go to shoot around, talk to these HBCU schools. And I didn't know about HBCU culture until I did that broadcast. You see videos and everything, but you have people talking.
It's serious.
From the illustrious Morgan State and all that, and Hampton and all that. So So it was a lot in Delaware State. So it was a lot of fun because I had an expanded role. And at that point, I'm not a student no more. I'm an actual sideline reporter. I got to meet the standard that Turner Sports provides. So I'm coming up with my storylines I want to do with my live hits. Taylor Rooks is coming up with hers. And obviously Taylor's the main attraction. She's the main sideline reporter, so she gets priority over all the stories. I look at her stories that once it gets sent along by the producer, and I'm like, wow, I had the exact same storylines planned. So now I got to go back and come up with even more storylines because she's going to have all the big ones, and rightfully so. So I got to do that.
You
And
got to think fast and make
yeah, I
quick
got
decisions.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I had to prep even more, which I did, and I got some good sideline reporter hits. And again, changed my life because if you look at my reel right now, it's made up of primarily TNT and ABC stuff. So those two experiences, the TNT stuff was so unreal and so fun, and it was such a blessing. And I'm so thankful because with all the struggles I have right now, trying to find opportunities and reps on campus, to know that I've gotten those opportunities off campus, it has saved me. I think it has allowed people to view me in a different light, knowing that I have secured those professional opportunities. So yeah, again, forever grateful.
No, yeah, getting that diverse multimedia experience, professional experience. That's amazing. That's the one can only hope for that. A student can only hope for that. I was gonna ask, how do you maintain a work-life balance and what do you do for fun?
Work-life balance. A lot of people like to mention work-life balance. I think it's work-life harmony more than balance.
Okay.
Balance implies that it's 50-50. It's not. Um, I think over the past 3 years for me, my harmony has been way more work than life. And that's by design because I enjoy my work. I enjoy it. There's not a single internship experience. There's not a single thing on my resume that I haven't enjoyed. So that's my life. It's enjoyable. So as far as how I maintain it, I I like to work. I like to grind. I don't like sitting down playing Madden like I did all of this morning leading up to this interview. I like to be out there. Like even when I got back from NABJ in Alabama, I started Uber driving. I signed up to be an Uber driver. I submitted the insurance just so I had something to do. Yeah, make some extra money. They got people got me driving them to New Jersey. I mean, damn. So and I mean, it doesn't tell you where they're going. It only tells you where to pick them up
Right,
from.
that's true. Yeah.
People can go to South Carolina, and I'm like,
You wouldn't know.
I'm like the hell, I'm like the hell.
That's so
But
true. That's so true.
yeah,
That's
yes
important.
sir, yes sir, of course.
You excel at both sports television and sports radio. Is there one you prefer over the other?
Sports radio is cool. Which do I prefer? Sports television, without question. Yeah, I mean, I'm a television guy through and through. I enjoy it wholeheartedly. The VOs, the putting together of a show, the tosses, the talking to people on a panel, all that. And TV is forever the dominant force. And
Right.
there's something about the visual that that appeals to me more than just the audio. So yeah, definitely TV without question. That's an easy one.
Awesome. Do you have a favorite interview so far? You've interviewed Juan, Scoot Henderson, Cece Sabathia. Is there a favorite one that sticks out to you?
Favorite interview.
Or one that you feel like, oh, I did a good job?
Favorite interview. Wow, a favorite interview. Um, Probably I would say Stan Waterman, who's the Delaware
Okay.
State head coach. I interviewed him backstage. I interviewed him in the locker room before the Legacy Classic. It aired on the pregame show. I thought that was very well done. I thought my questions were good. I thought that conversation was good, and I think I met the occasion because I was on national television. So I met the moment there. So yeah, I feel like I strive great under pressure, or strive great. I do great under pressure. I
I
do.
was gonna ask you about that. Do you get nervous right
I
before
get
the
I get
interview?
nervous. Yeah, I mean, my mind doesn't get nervous, but my body does. So I would shake, my palms would sweat. But for the most part, I think I always reach the occasion. I think I always meet the moment. So if you were to put me on ESPN tomorrow and tell me to do an interview with LeBron James, I think I'd be able to do it. Um, just because I think that's how I'm wired. I mean, I'm not gonna say
How do you deal with the pre-interview like nervousness? Like, do you try to focus on, okay, I'm gonna focus on the mic, or I'm gonna focus on like whatever, like, you know what I mean?
I mean, I don't have any methods, but it's just you got to deliver. That's like I hold myself to a high standard all the time. Like it doesn't matter if the interview's on TNT or ESPN or Hofstra television, you better deliver. because especially at this point, these opportunities are you're not gonna be on a show next week, right? So if I do this interview now, let's say it's sports beat and I do an interview, you're not getting on until 3 months from now or weeks from now. I mean, it's not you're not getting on every week or every 2 weeks, right? You don't know when your next hosting gig is going to be, so you have to deliver. You have to deliver, and
Right.
that's how I deal with it. If you don't deliver now, you're not going to do it. I mean, you're not going to get this opportunity again. That's why I was so mad at myself for the NBA on TNT interview the first time. I fumbled the first question, and you're never going to be on an Inside the NBA interview again. And if so, it's not going to be till you're 40, if best, if at that. So,
Yeah.
how I deal with it, you just remind yourself, you can't, you gotta rise to the occasion. You don't know when you're going to do it again. A lot of
And it's
people,
live television.
it is
Really
too.
can't mess up.
And even it's just the opportunity of it. Like a lot of your average sports anchor, they anchor on Monday, or they mess up, or they anchor on Tuesday, and then they got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. For me, if I mess up an interview on Monday, probably not getting another interview till May of 2024. So
Right.
there's literally no tomorrow. When you get these opportunities, you have to make them work because you already don't get much reps. So when an opportunity comes about, you better deliver. That's how I deal with it.
Right. Preparation. My dad always said, like, proper preparation prevents poor performance. So if you prepare well, you won't need to have flashcards. You may not need to look at the teleprompter that has a question for you. You memorized it, you did your research, and you rise to the occasion, like you said. That's great.
You know, they say, a lot of some people also say that you don't rise to the level of the expectation or rise to the moment, but you rather fall to the level of your preparation. You don't rise to the occasion, you fall to the level of the preparation. So I think I do both. I think I tend to rise to the occasion and fall to the level of preparedness, but that's also something people consider. I've learned.
Right. No, that's true. That's true. How did the IRTS Summer Fellowship Program make you a better journalist and equip you to succeed in sports media? How did it benefit you?
I don't think it made me a better journalist because I didn't do anything on air, but it definitely gave me a lot of networking tools because that's a
Okay.
phenomenal program. That is a phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal program. And John Mullen sent it to me because John Mullen's the godfather. He's somebody, if there's anybody that looks out for me, it is John Mullen. He'll
Yes.
an opportunity. I marched into his office and I said, yo, I'm still not getting these reps on TV. Like, I need to do this stuff. And, he sent me a few solutions or things that could serve as solutions. And that's an example of him having my best interest at heart. Now, IRTS, you apply, there's 40 people across the country who come together. They live in New York City. We all lived in NYU for the entire summer. It was the first week of June to the first week of August. And it was it was a great experience because you have people from Venezuela, you have people from Texas, people from Florida, people from Louisiana, people from Michigan, all these places, some of them that have never been to the city before. And we're all interning at the same time. So my internship was at ABC. Other people, it was mostly ad focused marketing, sales, and all that. So it was great because we had all of these company visits. We visited NBC and ABC and Fox and then these ad agencies, ad sales agencies, whatever it may be. And then we got to meet a whole bunch of people. I mean, we got to meet a whole lot of people who've
Wow.
worked in the
Okay.
program. It goes deep to the 1980s. So there are people who are in the industry right now, reporters or whatnot, who have been in the industry before. There's somebody, an anchor in LA, Rob Kovacic, who's been in the Kovacic, excuse me, who's been an anchor in LA who was in the program in IRTS. So Susie Colbert, who was formerly with ESPN, she was in
Wow.
IRTS. Christina Pink has been in IRTS. So it's a lot of people that have
A lot of
been
great alumni.
program. Yeah, a lot of great alumni, and it's such a strong support base. Lauren Crook Winiker led our group alongside Andrea McCrae and then Joyce Tudrin. They're fantastic. This program changes lives, truly. And it wasn't as much journalism focused, but I
Okay.
still learned about the ad sales industry. I learned the business side of the journalism industry, and I got to network my butt off. Got to talk to
Networking is key.
whole lot
Networking.
of great people, whole lot of great relationships, and yes, networking is key. So IRTS was phenomenal, and that's another thing that I would encourage anybody to apply for. And the last thing I'll say on this, when I first applied, I was put into the general pool of over 1,000 students. But
Wow.
there was a Hofstra alum, Stephen Saslow, who had paid for one Hofstra student to be in the program. So then I got moved from the pool of over 1,000 to a pool of just Hofstra students, which you can assume is only students within the Herbert School. And then from there, you're interviewing and you're only up against 12 people or so, as opposed to up against 1,000. And then I got that spot, and now Stephen Saslow sponsored my spot because the spot was specifically designed for a Hofstra student. So that was phenomenal as well.
That's amazing. That is amazing. Your IRTS friends I saw on Instagram threw you a surprise party for your 21st birthday back in. Did you see that? Did you see that coming?
I didn't. I didn't at all. That was great. Hold on. I had to take a sip of the Kool-Aid. So yeah, I had told them it was my birthday coming up because everybody wanted to know who had a birthday during over the course of the summer, and I intern at nights. So I'm the only person out of the 40 of us who interns at nights. So it was a Tuesday, I believe, and I was interning at night, Yankees and Mets game. I was logging it in the newsroom. And then and then this girl named Ariana. Ariana's my homie. She's fantastic.
Okay.
She texted me while I was at my internship and was like, "Why don't you share your location with me?" Because, you know, we're all random people who come together for this program. Everybody wants to keep an eye on each other. And I'm like, I'm in 3 places. I'm either at my part-time job, I was at WABC at the time, radio still, or I'm at my internship, or I'm at the dorms. Like, what do you need me to share my location for? And then we got into this bickering match, and then she said something, and I was like, all right, I caved. So I shared my location with her. And come to have it, she fought with me about that, so she would know when I'm coming home for the surprise. So I come into the dorms. I thought I was just gonna walk in, you know, birthday, it's done or whatever. I walk in, surprise! You saw the video, like all 40 of them, 39 of them. I'm the 40th. Are in the small dorm apartment room, and we're celebrating. Let's sing a happy birthday. And I'm here like, hey. It was awesome. It was a pleasant surprise because I don't celebrate my birthday. I will not be celebrating my birthday anymore. Or I never did, so I'm not even gonna say anymore.
Not a big birthday person.
But it's just another day for me on the calendar. But they made it special. It was my 21st, and they say you never forget your 21st. So, yeah, it was good. It was really good. I still don't drink or anything, but it was good.
That was really cool to see. I was like, wow, like you only know those people for a short period of time, and they thought of something so special. Do you feel like in that program you met a lot of like-minded individuals and made some lifelong friendships?
Yeah, I mean, lifelong friendships. We'll see as time goes on, but yeah, I met a lot of individuals who are about that grind, and it's nice to be able to talk to people who are like-minded in that way. I was the only person who wants to be on-air journalism. I met somebody who may want to be a producer in this industry, but still, most people were in marketing and ad sales. But most people, it's interesting because it was a spectrum, right? Some people did not know what they wanted to do. Other people knew what they wanted to do. Other people have a year left in school as well. So the people who have a year left in school and know what they want to do, those are the people who I got to conversate with, sometimes even more. So yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. I met great people.
We're gonna do some rapid fire questions, sports edition. Favorite sport to report on?
It's supposed to be rapid fire. My head ass. Basketball.
Okay. Top 5 quarterbacks.
Mahomes, Allen, Herbert. Oh, sorry. Mahomes 1, Burrow 2, Allen 3, Herbert 4, Aaron Rodgers 5. Okay.
Top 5 NBA players.
Easy. Giannis is number 1. Well, Jokic just won the chips. Well, Giannis number 1, Jokic number 2, Steph Curry number 3, Luka Doncic number 4, and number 5. I'm probably gonna have to say KD, or KD number 4, Luka Doncic number 5.
Nice. Yankees or Mets?
Mets.
Mets. Okay, didn't expect you to say that.
Well, when you're behind the scenes and you get to go to the stadium and all that, you get a first hand look at things that go beyond the team. So it's close, but I'm gonna go Mets.
Okay, Chiefs or Eagles?
Chiefs.
Shannon Sharp or Stephen A. Smith?
Even a
GOAT sports journalist?
the GOAT sports journalist. It depends. Are you talking about sideline reporter, in studio host, play by play? There's different avenues.
Oh, that's true. That's true. That's true.
Studio host. I'd probably go Ernie Johnson.
Okay.
Sideline reporter. At least in my time, I was born in 2002. Didn't really get into sports till later, but sideline reporter. Aaron Andrews is up there. Lisa Salters is up there. As far as play by play, I think that Jim Nance is a GOAT. No, sorry, I think Kevin Harlan is a GOAT. Jim Nance is a GOAT. Mike Breen is a GOAT. Gus Johnson is the most underrated.
Okay. All right. And last one, who would be your dream interview if you got to choose?
I don't have a particular person in mind. It's more so I want to interview the athlete with the biggest story. That's my dream interview. I would want to interview Michael Jordan because he doesn't talk to the media. He doesn't.
Oh.
So if I were to interview Michael Jordan, I talk to him about everything pertaining to the state of sports right now, current NBA players, what he thinks about the state of the league. Any athlete who tends to shy away from the media, they are athletes that I would that those are my dream interviews because that means I have access to them that not everybody has.
Would you want your own show or would you want you in like a panel? You on a panel?
When I want my own show. No, I'm always infatuated with the idea of working for someone. I want to be a part of building something. And then if I get big enough, that's when I want to start my own show. I'm not big on starting my own thing without the backing of somebody huge. So if anything, I want to work for that CEO. I want to work for ESPN. I want to work for Turner Sports. I want to work for Fox Sports. I want to work for CBS Sports. I want to work for NBC Sports and help them build their culture and help them build their product up and build something profitable for the big bosses there. And then that's when I want a piece of it. My first priority is to the higher ups. What can I do to make you guys money? What can I do to make sure your content is as big as possible? That's my first priority, is my service to them. When all that happens, when they're satisfied with their bag and their ratings and their content, that's when I reflect upon myself and say, okay, now what can I do to get a piece of it for myself?
That's smart. That's smart. I like that. Well, thank you, Yaw, for joining me on the podcast again. Great conversation. Really appreciate the time out.
Sir. Yes, sir. This was fun. I don't get to ramble on like this. Like, God forbid that somebody puts me on a panel to talk about my experiences. That is a wrap. But I appreciate
that's what podcasts are for. A long form conversation. To know people behind the scenes. Where can everyone follow you?
Yaw Bonsu 27 on Instagram, Twitter, MySpace. If you have that. Yeah, so let's ride. I mean, I'm not like a big social media guy. If you guys want to hit me up, I mean, go to my website, yawbonsu.org, and then you'll find my email. And yeah, if you want to hit me up for anything, feel free. I'm not a celebrity or anything, so hey,
shoot him an email.
Yeah, shoot me
for sure.
Yeah, we'll go from there.
Awesome. I want to hear from you guys. So if you're listening to this episode right now on a podcast platform, be sure to leave a rating on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you're watching this episode on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you click that notification bell up top so you're notified whenever I upload a new episode. Thank you guys for listening. Have a good one.
Yes, sir.